Good afternoon to everyone. So I just learned that a lot of people from the software industry, I'm right. Now, this is about, the earlier presentation was about how you can invest. Now, this is about how you can actually, how we can move your money from one end to another end. So that's all. So actually, the common payment gateway switch is not a new idea. It's basically somewhere around 5 years back, this idea came to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. But there were certain issues facing by the government about how we can implement this, how is the current situation about law will be implement on this kind of things. But now it's in Colombo. Right. Now, this presentation is basically focusing about the general terms and how this is exactly working, like this kind of an overview. This is not touching on the in-depth level about the, how the software levels and all other things, but this will give you a general idea what is the common payment gateway switch and how it's work and how it's, likewise. Now, first of all, I would like to ask one question. How many commercial banks in Sri Lanka? Now, do you know about how many? Like, to answer these questions, first you should know that what is the term of commercial bank. Now, in Central Bank of Sri Lanka, there is a two type of banks in Sri Lanka. The first one is licensed commercial banks. This is not Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC. This is about licensed commercial bank. And there are another type of banks saying that licensed special bank. Now, this is about licensed commercial bank. Any answers? How many commercial banks in Sri Lanka? No. It may be around the world. Sorry? It's not exactly 32, but I will explain. You just count. We do have a bank called Amana Bank. You all know that Amana is basically focusing on the Muslim banking sector. Then we do have Axis Bank Limited. Right now, this Axis Bank is recently started in Sri Lanka before 3 months back. So this is basically the largest bank in India, if I'm not wrong. But they have set up an office in here, and they are allowed to do commercial banking business in Sri Lanka. So then we do have the Bank of Ceylon, Citibank. This is kind of an old bank in Sri Lanka. Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC, which is I'm representative. And the Dutch Bank, and DFCC Vardhana, Habib Bank, Hatton National Bank PLC, and we do have People's Bank, Public Bank Berhad. This is basically a Malaysian based bank, and the Sampath Bank, Ceylon Bank, Standard Chartered. Earlier this was named as Standard Chartered Pakistan PLC, but this is now for the Standard Chartered, the global network. And the State Bank of India, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, or the HSBC, you all know, and the Union Bank of Colombo, ICICI Bank, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank. This is the oldest bank in Sri Lanka, oldest commercial bank in Sri Lanka, Indian Overseas Bank, and the Muslim Commercial Bank, MCB, and the National Development Bank. A lot of people are thinking this National Development Bank, or the NDB, is a private sector bank. Actually, it's not. It's a government bank, which was started in 1960 with the Special Act of NDB Bank Act. So the 51% is owned to the government of Sri Lanka. So this is again the government bank. And the Nation Trust Bank PLC and the Pan Asia Banking Corporation, PABC. So basically, we do have 24 commercial banks, licensed commercial bank in Sri Lanka. So I'm not going to touch what is the licensed commercial bank and all other things, but why we are keen into these numbers. It's basically common payment gateway switch, or the payment gateways are basically dealing with the commercials bank, the licensed commercial banks. Now, you may have some kind of a problem, or the questions like where is the NSB or where is DFCC bank? Like, those are not licensed commercial banks. Those are the licensed special bank. So they are not allowed to do certain commercial activities like issuing checkbooks. So there are various regulations, but those are basically not commercial banks, right? Now, the transaction method, so this is where the common payment gateway switch is going to play. Now, basically, all you know, I mean, the cash is one of transaction method. Then we do have checks. So in the check, definitely there is a two kind of checks running on the market. It's a local clearing checks or the local checks and the draft checks. So which may be originating from the foreign banks or the foreign drafts like. Then we do have credit cards and the debit cards. Just to know, I'm sorry, but is there, I mean, do you have any kind of idea what is the difference between the debit and credit card? I guess all of you have, but if not, just ask. Right. Then we do have online payment system like PayPal and NetSpend. Like now, these all transaction also is accountable, and those are originating from Sri Lanka. So basically, the government of Sri Lanka is keen into looking about what's going on. So basically, a lot of frauds and a lot of, I mean, kind of a illegal transaction happening through this kind of a online payment mechanism. So basically, Central Bank of Sri Lanka is interested to, I mean, monitoring or looking about what's going on with the online payments. And remittance services, you may heard about that MoneyGram and Western Union. So these basically what's the remittance are like the people who are outside in Sri Lanka who are sending money to Sri Lanka. So they are basically using this remittance services like MoneyGram or Western Union. And also you may know this TT or the telegraphic transfers and the letter of credits or the LCs. And finally, right, it's SWIFT. So this is not the Toyota Swift, I mean Swift vehicle. This is about SWIFT. There's a global network called SWIFT who are doing the transaction. It's very fast and very easy to do the transaction using the SWIFT. Now these are the type of transaction that currently exist in Sri Lanka. So maybe you may heard about these kind of things first time in, but a lot of people are using one or many kind of transaction methods in Sri Lanka. So what is the relationship between these transaction method and common payment gateway switch? I will explain that. So in the point of legislation, the transaction will be monitored by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This is the basic idea. So any kind of a transactions originating from Sri Lanka or originating toward to the Sri Lanka will be monitored by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. It's basically there should be a control on the government about the transactions, because otherwise I mean no one is going to control the money market and all of the things. So like in certain other countries like Cuba or somewhere, so manipulators can do a lot of things with this. So in that case only the central bank wants to control this, or otherwise they want to monitor this. And there's another organization called Interbank Reconciliation. So this is basically handled by the Lanka Clear. You may heard about the Lanka Clear. Earlier this was named as SLACH, Sri Lanka Automated Clearing House. They were renamed this as the Lanka Clear by year 2003. So basically Lanka Clear handling three kind of transaction. The first transaction is the SLIPs, Sri Lanka Intermediate Payment Systems. Now what the slip is doing, basically if there is a some kind of a bulk payment has to be done, like your salaries, the organization which may have 500 or 800 of employees. So if you want to pay by check, it's impossible. I mean it's very hard. But with the slips, basically you can do the bulk payment, and within a very easy way, and without a very, I mean less cost. So slips is doing that. And another system called the CITS, or the check imaging and truncation system. So basically what this doing is, so this was started before 5 years back. Before 5 years back, all the checks which you are using has taken nearly, 2 weeks to clear. If, for example, if you are having a check, if you deposit the check by today, so you won't get the money, by tomorrow. So it will take nearly 1 week to 2 weeks to clear the check. But with the CITS, so they have introduced a system called, the image processing. By using the image processing, they have reduced the clearing time up to the 3 hours. So within 3 hours, now you can clear your check. So this is called the CITS. And then the foreign draft clearing. So the foreign draft clearing means if you are having any draft or any check which frightened by the US dollar or any foreign currency, so there should go by the different clearing cycle called the foreign clearing. And there is another clearing system called RTGS. It's real-time gross settlement. So what the RTGS doing is, normally the check can encode only by up to 10 digits, whereas 99 million. So if there is any check more than 100 million value, so it can't be using the slips or any kind of a CITS systems. So definitely it should go with the special system called RTGS. You may believe or not, but in Sri Lanka, nearly 30 to 40 checks daily is getting to the RTGS. So that's how rich Sri Lanka. So this is normally you may seen about this we accept logo. Now currently in Sri Lanka we are accepting nearly this kind of a transaction originated from the credit card, definitely Visa credit card, and the American Express or the MX card, and the MasterCards. So these are the normal cards you are heard in. And there are another card called Discover cards. This is pretty much popular in the US region, but now in Sri Lanka also the Discover cards are acquiring. And the Union Pay, this is China Union Pay, the full name is China Union Pay. So as the central bank is intended to accept this renminbi as a valid foreign currency in Sri Lanka, so they are accepting the China Union Pay transactions also. So basically this is very popular in the Chinese region and the Japanese, all other regions. And there is another card called JCB. So JCB means Japan Credit Bureau. So basically JCB is very much popular in the tourism industry, and the lot of airlines are using the JCB as acceptance card. And there is another card called Entrust cards. This is the newest card which is originating in year 2007. This is not popular in Sri Lanka, but some of it's very few banks are accepting the Entrust cards. So what will happen currently? Currently what will happen if you are present your credit card into the shop or any point of sale? So what will happen? So in the POS there will be POS means the point of sale. So this POS is providing some kind of a bank. So definitely there should be a service providing bank. So this POS is connected to the service providing bank. So definitely in Sri Lanka, this service providing bank should be residing in Sri Lanka, and we are calling that the acquiring banks. So they are acquiring the card. So what will happen if this card, for example, say the acquiring bank is Commercial Bank, and say if your shop is connected to the Commercial Bank, and the customer has the Commercial Bank card, the Commercial Bank credit or debit card. So basically the transaction will goes to the acquiring bank, and they will check into the acquiring card back end. So it won't go more further. So then the transaction will be completed. So that's all, it's very clear. This is called the debit card transaction, so in more specific. But if it is not issued by the acquiring bank, so what will happen currently, this transaction will goes to the card payment organization like Visa or Master. For example, if you are having the HNB credit card, and if you are presenting it to the point of sale which is connected to the, say, Bank of Ceylon, but still the transaction goes to the Visa or Master. So that's how this is working. So then the card issuing organization, what will do is it will be sending the return traffic to the card issuing bank, and then the issuing bank checks whether the balance is okay or not, and then it will goes to the, it will be complete in the cycle. So this is the current situation. So with the current situation, even the transactions should be within the Sri Lanka, but still the transactions are exposed to the outside the world, and it will travel huge paths, and it will cost, it's very costly. So what are the disadvantages currently having? Now the first disadvantage is local transaction also need to travel across the across the world. basically. The second, and also I want to mention that in this case, the customer has to pay the cost for that. So basically you may heard, I mean, if you are using your debit card in your ATM, so the bank is charging 5 rupees or 10 rupees. But basically what will happen, so bank doesn't provide any service. Basically bank is charging for the service. So it's not again the service, right? But in this case, again, the cost you have to pay is, I mean, more. And the other thing is the connectivity issue and the latency. So for example, if any bank accepting 5 number of different type of cards, so definitely they should have 10 number of links, the international links, which huge cost has to take care. For example, nearly the CMV link, the monthly cost will be nearly 400,000 rupee for one link. So in that case, maintenance 10 links it's not easy. It's not easy job. For example, in my organization, we are maintaining nearly 42 links. So it's cost a lot, I mean, per month. And the other thing is Central Bank of Sri Lanka. They don't have any visibility on these transactions. That is the most important thing. So they do not have any of visibility of these transactions. So normally with the act, all the banks should submit their reconciliations to the central bank. But still, if someone wants to, I mean, stop those things, still possible. But there is the common payment gateways which is going to pay. So what is the CPGS doing? Now again, the POS will be connecting to the acquiring bank, and again, as if it is in the acquiring bank database, it will be completed. So otherwise, the transaction goes to the common payment gateway switch. So the common payment gateway switch basically will be installed in the Lanka Clear. So what does this mean? The transaction will be routed internally. It's not goes to the outside of the country. It will be routed internally, and it will route to the card issuing bank. For example, again, like in earlier example, if the card is Commercial Bank and the acquiring bank is the HNB, the transaction will be internally routing. It won't goes to the Visa or Master. So this will be saving lot of money. And if it is in the, I mean, card issuing bank is not in Sri Lanka, so definitely it should goes to the outside of the country, which is obvious. So this is what the common payment gateway switch. This is the overall idea about the common payment gateway switch. And again, keep in mind that common payment gateway switch is not limited to be integrated with the CPSL. With this, definitely the local transaction will be routing locally, and the transaction cost will be less. So we are currently, I mean, having negotiation about to do this kind of a transaction for as minimum as 5 rupees. So it's up to the bank to decide. I mean, maybe some kind of a bank saying that, okay, we will be eliminating or we will be exposing that cost to us. So I mean, that is also possible. And the other thing is the less connectivity issue. Only a bank should maintain only one link. So that's all. For example, currently we are maintaining 42 links, so definitely we can eliminate 41 links, 41 international links, and the other links we can convert it into the local links. I mean, like, we don't want to have the CMEV, definitely we can go for IPVPN or MPLS links. So the cost will be definitely low. So the benefit definitely goes to the customer. The transaction cost will be less. And as said, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka have the visibility and the ease of reconciliation. Now, what is this means? The ease of reconciliation means if there is any card transaction happening, I mean, through the internet, you may see that that particular transaction won't indicate in your bill on the same day. It will take nearly 2 or 3 days. It's because of this windowing period of the reconciliation. But with the common payment gateway switch, it is real time reconciliation will be happening. So in that case, this is again benefit to the country. In future, definitely all local payment system will be connected to the common payment gateway switch. And again, I want to mention that in future, now the lot of banks and lot of communities are thinking about how to eliminate these cards, because if your wallet may contain nearly 4 or 5 cards, but we are going to eliminate this by doing the mobile wallets. Now, this mobile wallet is like now this term is used in by today, but it's not exactly the mobile wallet. So the concept of mobile wallet is not 100% implemented by today, but currently there is a process going on with the Visa. So if you can go through the web www.v.me, so the project called v.me, so it means visa.mobile. So they are going to implement the 100% mobile wallets. So in US they are in the trial runs. So even if you are a developer, you can go to the v.me site and you can enroll with them. Once they launch the system in the Asia Pacific region, you can basically enroll with them. So this is about the future. And this is the end of my presentation, and if you have any question, I'm happy to take those.
Can I use PayPal to receive money with this payment switch?
My question was on PayPal.
Okay, right, correct. Now, in the PayPal, right, currently the PayPal is negotiating the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Even last week, there was a meeting with the PayPal and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, whether PayPal services can be enabled to the Sri Lanka to receive the money. Still, the Central Bank is not given okay to that. It is nothing about the technical. It's nothing technical. I mean, technically it's possible. It's simple. Changing of the 2 or 3 lines. That's all. But it's about the regulations. But I don't know what is the stand on the Central Bank on this. But still, they're saying not to go that. But still, probably within end of this year or next year, early next year, it might possible. But for in this case, I can confirm that there is a process going on. I mean, there is a negotiation going on how we can implement. Okay, so thanks.